I cheated on you for 50 years, and you did it for convenience, the husband said at his wife's birthday, in front of all the guests, and after that she did something shocking. Valentina Petrovna woke up, as always, without an alarm clock, at 6 a.m. sharp. Even on the day of my 68th birthday, my body did not allow itself an extra half hour under a warm blanket. The habit, developed over half a century of family life, turned out to be strong. It's already October 27th, she whispered, looking at the calendar with tear-off leaves. In the kitchen, a lamp came on under a fringed lampshade, the same one that was bought back in the 80s. Valentina took out the smoked ribs from the refrigerator, and yesterday she made a special trip to the butcher's market and chose the best ones. Borscht was prepared according to the recipe of my late mother-in-law only on major holidays, with white beans, which she soaked in the evening, with carrots, grated on a coarse grater, with cabbage, cut into thin strips. Half an hour later, a delicious, tantalizing aroma wafted through the kitchen. Valentina stirred the borscht with a wooden spoon and quietly hummed a Moldavian song that she had sung as a girl in Kaushany, when she helped her mother with the housework. Happy birthday, dear. Anatoly Stepanovich came out of the bedroom, wearing trousers and a t-shirt, and kissed his wife on the cheek. The kiss was familiar, routine, like every morning for 50 years. Valentina turned around, expecting to see in her husband's hands at least a small bouquet of aster or chrysanthemums from a stall near the bus stop, but Anatoly's hands were empty. Strange, she thought, continuing to stir the borscht. He usually gives me a bouquet in the morning. Well, okay, I've probably prepared something special for the evening when the whole family gathers. Then she had no idea what was really awaiting her. That distant evening, the spring of '75, suddenly surfaced in my memory. The House of Culture in the regional center, where she came with her friends from the village to dance. The stuffiness from the multitude of bodies, the creaking of floorboards underfoot, the accordion that played Katyusha, and evenings near Moscow. She stood against the wall, wearing a new cotton dress, which she sewed herself according to a pattern from the magazine Rabotnitsa. Girl, shall we dance? A tall guy with a mustache walked straight up to her, although there were more handsome ones standing nearby. Anatoly was then stately, broad-shouldered, wearing a white shirt with short sleeves. Driver in a carpool, an eligible bachelor. He spoke in city words, knew how to look after you beautifully, gave you red Moscow perfume, took you to the cinema for 17 moments of spring. A year later, a wedding in a village club, guests at long tables, accordion player Uncle Vasya, who played until the morning. And then, moving to the city, to a dorm room. She left her parents' house, with white walls and blue shutters, the vineyard that her grandfather planted, the well with ice water, the smell of jasmine in the yard. Valia, what are you thinking about? Anatoly took her hand. Today is your day. We must prepare for the holiday. Their two-room Khrushchev house on the second floor looked like a museum of Soviet life. A wall of furniture from the 80s, with crystal dishes behind glass, a carpet on the wall with red deer, photographs in wooden frames on the sideboard, a wedding, the birth of Larissa's daughter, her school years, college, her own wedding, grandchildren. In the kitchen, on the windowsill, there were rows of jars with compotes and deer, plum, apple, tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, caviar. Every autumn, Valentina made preserves according to her grandmother's recipes, which she remembered by heart. Anatoly always praised it. You can't buy this in any store. Today he was especially caring, helped arrange the chairs around the extendable table, washed the dishes after breakfast, even asked if we needed to go to the store for some reason. Imagine, Dizia, Valentina told her neighbor Evdokia while she helped set the table. We've been married for 50 years, and he's still just as caring. Not like others, they drink and beat their wives, and I never even raised my voice. Evdokia Zakharovna mumbled something in response and turned to the window. Valentina did not notice the strange expression on her friend's face. By lunchtime, Valentina changed into a new dress the color of ripe cherry, which she specially bought in an expensive store. in the plus-size department. The fabric was good, not wrinkled, and the cut hid a plump figure and emphasized the beautiful line of the shoulders. "Talik, what do I look like?" She twirled in front of the mirror in the hallway. "My beauty, the best," the husband responded from the room. But something was wrong. Her hands trembled as she set out the plates, as if a premonition of trouble was stirring in her chest. During the day, Valentina caught her husband's gaze several times, excited and nervous, as if he was preparing to jump from a height. He smiled mysteriously, then suddenly looked away when she looked at him. He was fiddling with something in his hands, either a newspaper or matches. "Maybe they are preparing a surprise," thought Valentina, laying out the pike perch aspic into plates. "Or did you buy an expensive gift? A long time ago he promised me a ring with a stone. By 4:30. Anatoly brought out a bouquet of yellow asters from the bedroom, lush, beautiful, obviously expensive, but instead of solemnly giving it to his wife, he simply placed the flowers in a crystal vase in the middle of the table. "For beauty," he said, adjusting the petals. "Talik," Valentina looked at her husband in confusion, "you forgot to give me flowers." "Later, Valka, later." He waved it off, and there were notes in his voice that she had never heard before. "First, I have to tell you something very soon." Something went cold in Valentina's stomach. She looked at the festive table, at the asters in a vase, at her husband, who was looking away, and suddenly realized that this birthday would be special, but she didn't yet know what exactly it would be. By 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the apartment was filled with voices and laughter. The first to come was daughter Larissa, with her husband Pavel, and children, 16-year-old Denis and 14-year-old Nastia. Next came the neighbors, Evdokia Zakharovna, with her husband Vasily Petrovich, Anatoly Petrovich, with his wife Zinaida Ivanovna, from the next door. The last to appear were Anatoly's colleagues, retired drivers Semenik and Mikhalik, with whom he once traveled throughout the Union. The table was bursting with treats Valentina spent 3 days preparing. Olivier with boiled sausage and home-cured pickles, herring under a fur coat in layers, as it should be, pike perch aspic, with carrot flowers, homemade pies with cabbage, which I baked according to the recipe of my late mother-in-law. "Mom, can we order sushi?" Larissa suggested, looking at the table. "Or some rolls. Children love it." "What kind of food is this?" Valentina waved it off. "Rice and raw fish. I prepared normal food, human food." Nastia snorted, but remained silent. Denis was already helping himself to a full plate of Olivier. Anatoly Stepanovich was on fire. He poured a glass for everyone, the men with vodka, the women with wine, and the children with compote. He stood up with a glass in his hand. "For the health of our dear birthday girl. For my Valechka, who has been making this house cozy for half a century." "For the family," Pavel picked up. "For Grandma," Nastia shouted loudly. We drank and ate. Anatoly relaxed and began telling stories about long-distance flights, how he got stuck in the snow near Voronezh, how truckers helped each other out, how in Arkhangelsk local girls treated him to cod pies. The guests laughed, the atmosphere was warm, family-like, the way it should be at a birthday party. After the second glass, Semenik started a conversation about the current generation of drivers. "They don't have that fraternal mutual assistance that we had. How we lived, one for all for one. You're right," Anatoly chimed in, pouring a third. "We did everything honestly, like men." And after the third drink, something in him switched. He stood up, swaying slightly, picked up the glass and tapped the spoon to attract attention. "Dear guests," his voice became louder than usual, with a drunken strain, "I want to confess something to you." Valentina looked up at her husband. "Something bad stirred in my chest, and Valia too," Anatoly continued, looking somewhere over the heads of the guests. "I've been wanting to say this for a long time, but I waited for 50 years." Long pause. The room became quiet, only the ticking clock on the wall. "I'd been cheating on mine, Dalia, all these 50 years, he blurted out in one breath. She was just there for my convenience. She cooked, did the laundry, and ran the house. Sorry, Valka.at. First there was an awkward laugh. The guests thought that he had made a bad joke. Larissa froze with her fork halfway to her mouth. Dad, what are you talking about? But Anatoly did not stop. Alcohol loosened his tongue. Why are you silent? I'm a real man. I needed variety. They are one and the same woman for 50 years. Valentina sat as if she had turned into a pillar of salt. The frozen smile did not leave his face. His hands mechanically crumbled the bread. The world outside the window became unreal. Voices sounded as if underwater. The faces of the guests blurred. There was a ringing in my ears, as if my head had been struck by lightning. Grandfather, are you at all? Dennis looked at his grandfather in horror. What's wrong? Anatoly snapped. The man's business. Do you think I'm the only one? Yes, all men live like this, they just don't admit it. Grandfather, is this true? Dennis looked at his grandfather with horror and some kind of adult disappointment. Have you never loved your grandmother? Loved. Anatoly shrugged it off. But love and these are different things. Men will understand. I don't understand, the teenager blurted out. This is vile. The guests began to quickly gather. Semenik muttered something about urgent matters. Zinaida Ivanovna muttered routine phrases about a delicious table and thanks for the invitation. After 15 minutes, only our own people remained in the apartment. Larissa rushed to her father. What are you doing? Why the hell did you say that? I'm telling the truth. Anatoly waved his hand. I'm tired of keeping everything to myself. Oh, well, Lyetka from the first floor was good. And Lena from the store, she's just a delight. Why, I had girls in every city. He could no longer stop. The words flowed in a stream. So I don't regret anything. Tell me about your mother so that she doesn't get upset and understands the essence of a man. Valentina quietly got up from the table and went to the kitchen. She sat down on the floor near the stove and leaned her back against the kitchen set, the same one that they had chosen together 20 years ago. She looked at the familiar doors, at the handles, rubbed to a shine by her hands. She whispered in Moldavian. What is this? Larissa found her mother on the kitchen floor. She hugged her shoulders. Mom, he's drunk. Don't listen to him. Tomorrow he will sober up and take everything back. But Valentina was silent, looking at one point with unblinking eyes. There were no tears in them, only the confusion of a man who suddenly realized that half a century of life had turned out to be a lie, and Anatoly's voice could still be heard from the room, explaining to his son-in-law and grandchildren the basics of male psychology. Nastia was crying, Dennis was quietly swearing. Pavel tried to take his family home. The holiday is over. The night dragged on endlessly, like a line in a bad song. Valentina lay on her back, counting the cracks in the ceiling. There were 7 of them. She remembered them from her youth. Anatoly was snoring nearby, sleeping soundly, sprawled across the bed, like a man who had lifted a heavy burden from his soul, and his words were spinning in her head, like a dull needle on an old record, for convenience. The same woman. 50 years. Outside the window the hour struck, then 2, then 3. Somewhere a dog barked, a car drove by, and she still lay there, looking into the darkness, and felt how something inside was slowly turning to stone, turning into a cold, heavy block. By morning, my eyes were completely dry, there were no more tears. Anatoly got up at 7:30, as usual, stretched and yawned. Dalia, where are my gray socks, the ones you washed yesterday? She pointed to the chest of drawers. I couldn't say another word. Will you make coffee? He asked, pulling on his socks. Yes, she answered dully. Anatoly looked at his wife, pale, with red eyes, and shrugged. It's as if nothing special happened yesterday. As if her world had not been torn to pieces. After he left, Valentina sat down in the kitchen with a cup of cold tea. The hand shook so much that the porcelain rattled. The doorbell rang at about 11. Valechka, Evdokia Zakharovna, stood on the threshold with a cake in a box. Sorry it happened like this yesterday. I brought you Napoleon, I bought it for your sweet tooth. They sat down at the kitchen table. Valentina mechanically brewed tea, took out a sugar bowl with lump sugar, which she bought out of habit. Anatoly liked to drink tea with lumps, not sand. Evdokia hesitated, twirled the spoon in her hands, then suddenly made up her mind. Velechka, I need to tell you something. Speak. Valentina looked out the window, where yellow maple leaves flashed behind the glass. We knew everything. Evdokia breathed out, Lord, how hard it is for me to say this. But now there is no point in remaining silent. And she told what all her neighbors, acquaintances, and colleagues had been hiding for years, what they talked about furtively on the landing, exchanging meaningful glances when meeting Valentina. How they looked away when she said hello, how they fell silent if she appeared in the store. During their conversations, we saw everything. Velechka, Evdokia spoke quietly, guilty how he went up to Rome every Thursday. He carried bouquets and boxes of chocolates, and I told you that I went to Semyonovich's garage. I remember you were still happy. It's good that men have such a strong friendship. In Soviet times, divorce was almost like a death sentence, especially for women. The neighbors whispered why she had missed her husband. I didn't finish watching it. Even if the husband was at fault, the wife was always the culprit. That's why everyone was silent. The family had to be indestructible so that nothing happened behind closed doors. Rima Grigorievna, from apartment 12, met with her every Thursday, when her husband went to visit his mother in the region. This relationship lasted 15 years. Valentina saw how Rima averted her eyes during meetings and thought she was shy about something, but it turns out, the saleswoman Sveta from Magnolia, young, curly. Anatoly looked after her right in the store, looked after her in front of all the customers, gave her flowers, bought candy. He said it was for his granddaughter, and the saleswomen whispered to each other, look, grandfather has fallen in love. At work, in the carpool, he showed off to his comrades. My wife, a village idiot, doesn't understand anything. You can even take girls around from morning to night without anyone noticing. On long flights throughout the country he had girls. In Arkhangelsk, Novosibirsk, Krasnodar, colleagues told their wives, and they remained silent, so as not to destroy someone else's family. Lehigh Mela, Valentina whispered, and her memory suddenly began to work with ruthless clarity. The mosaic began to take shape. Someone else's hair on the collar of his jacket. From the passengers, Val clings to the bus. Late calls due to work. The dispatcher calls for an urgent flight. His reluctance to be close in recent years. I'm getting tired, Valka. I'm not the same age anymore. Strange purchases, expensive perfumes that he gave her for the holidays. And then she found empty bottles in his things, even gifts. My God, even the gifts weren't for her. I bought it for my mistresses. And when the relationship ended, I brought it home as a gift to my wife. We thought you knew, but you endure it. Evdokia justified herself. They didn't want to destroy the family. The children were small then, and then we got used to being silent. In our generation, after all, family comes first. The divorce was ashamed. It turns out I was the only fool. Valentina's voice trembled, and everyone laughed behind their back. What are you talking about, Velechka? Nobody laughed, everyone felt sorry for you, and then it hit Valentina. Not grief, something worse. Nausea rose in my throat. My temples began to pound, my hands shook so much that the cup rang on my face. It seemed as if the floor was disappearing from under my feet, and the walls of the room were beginning to slowly rotate. Evdokia rushed to the sink for water, and Valentina sat and thought. For 50 years she was the laughingstock of the whole house, the pathetic deceived wife who doesn't see or understand anything. And everyone knew about it, everyone except her. And then Valentina began to cry. She didn't cry, she didn't sob, she cried quietly, silently, like older women cry when they realize that this pain will never go away completely. Tears rolled down my cheeks and dripped into a cup of cold tea. 50 years old, Dizia, she whispered. For 50 years I lived with a stranger and I thought he was mine. Dear, the keys are in the lock. Anatoly returned home earlier than usual. I saw my tear-stained wife, Evdokia, in the kitchen with a guilty face, and immediately understood everything. So what? He asked aggressively, throwing his jacket on the chair. All men live like this. At least I'm honest. I didn't hide it anymore. And you, Valia, what did you think I was a saint? Evdokia stood up. Anatoly Stepanovich, aren't you ashamed? Why should I be ashamed? He snapped. I'm a man. I have needs. And he didn't turn into an old ruin, like some. He looked at his wife with some kind of evil triumph, and in general, Valka, if you were more interesting, I wouldn't look elsewhere. It's her own fault. Valentina raised her eyes to him, such that he involuntarily retreated. There was no pain in them, no resentment. They had determination. This is who I am, and now I know what you are. The week passed in a blur. Valentina was losing weight before her eyes. Her dress, the color of ripe cherry, was now hanging like a bag, and her face had acquired a waxy pallor. She slept in fits and starts, waking up from nightmares where Anatoly laughed at her, along with unfamiliar women. I couldn't eat. Everything was stuck in my throat in a lump. Mom, stop torturing yourself. Larissa burst into the apartment like a hurricane and saw her mother sitting at the table with an untouched plate of borscht. It's so stressful. We need to check our health. Immediately. Why do I need doctors, daughter? Valentina responded tiredly. What will they tell me new? That I have a broken heart? Mom, you're a doctor, you say? Larissa got angry. At your age, stress can trigger anything, a heart attack, a stroke, a hypertensive crisis. The next day, Larissa took her mother to the district clinic. As the daughter of a local doctor, she guided Valentina through all the dating specialists, skipping the cues. Therapist Raisa Semyonovna, Larissa's school friend, listened to the heart for a long time, shook her head, and the rhythm and pressure were jumping. Nerves, of course, but at your age it's dangerous. Cardiologist Pyotr Ivanovich, a man of pre-retirement age, with kind eyes, looking at the cardiogram, also frowned. Tachycardia. Valentina Petrovna, what happened to you? It was as if my heart had suffered a blow. It survived, Valentina thought gloomily. The neurologist checked my reflexes and reactions. The young female doctor, almost the same age as her granddaughter, asked sympathetically, have you had insomnia for a long time? Headaches, maybe something is going on in the family. But when they got to the gynecologist, Valentina became stubborn. What are you talking about, daughter? Why should I go there? I'm already 68. All women's affairs are long over. A gynecologist with 30 years of experience examined Valentina in silence. Then she said, I need to get tested just in case. Valentina was embarrassed to talk about her family situation, how to explain to a stranger that her husband had been cheating for 50 years. She didn't even suspect. She kept silent about Anatoly's business trips and night absences. The 10 days of waiting dragged on painfully. Larissa called every day to inquire about her health. Anatoly walked around the house as if nothing had happened, demanding dinner, fresh shirts, complaining that the soup was too salty and the potatoes were undercooked. Valentina served him mechanically, like a robot. On Thursday, Larissa came home from work, gloomier than a cloud. She sat down opposite her mother and laid out the test forms on the table. Mom, you have HPV type 16. This is an oncogenic strain, and there are already precancerous changes. The words fell into the silence of the kitchen like stones into a well. Valentina did not immediately understand what it was about. I looked at pieces of paper with numbers and Latin letters, where someone's hand was writing incomprehensible symbols. An emptiness rang in my head. So this is it, she thought slowly, as if through a thick fog. So, the verdict. For half a century he not only killed the soul, he also poisoned the body, and I didn't even know. What does this mean, daughter? This means that you have human papillomavirus. The daughter could hardly restrain her rage. Her voice trembled with the indignation of the doctor who sees criminal negligence. Mom, this virus is only transmitted through sexual contact. The incubation period can be years. Dad definitely had other partners, and he infected you. And then the years of women's problems that she carried within herself as a shameful secret surfaced in Valentina's memory. The pain in the lower abdomen, sharp as stabs with a knife, which she endured, gritting her teeth, was customary in their generation to endure without complaining. Bloody discharge, which was attributed to menopause, age, they say. What can you do? Nights when I woke up from my marriage and thought, Lord, is it really cancer? But I didn't go to the doctor. I was afraid to hear something terrible. Soviet doctors made general diagnoses: inflammation of the appendages, age-related changes, prescribed some pills and sent them home. No special tests were done, and she believed that this was how it should be, that a woman was obliged to suffer in silence. It turns out that I have been sick all these years, Mother. Larissa grabbed her hands, and her voice contained not only her daughter's pain, but also the doctor's professional rage. He was killing you slowly. Understand, if we had not started treatment now, in a couple of years there would have been oncology, cervical cancer. And even then he would have said that it was age. There were tears of helplessness in the daughter's eyes. She, a doctor, could not protect her own mother from such a betrayal. Valentina sat, digesting what she had heard. This means that he not only poisoned the soul for 50 years, he also slowly destroyed the body. Divorce him immediately. My daughter demanded it. He's a killer, you know, a killer. In the evening, Valentina showed Anatoly the test results. He barely glanced at the papers and waved them away. Well, I got infected somewhere. You never know, everyone gets sick from something at our age. There's Semenika's prostate, Michaelika's has sugar. Tolik, Valentina's voice was quiet, but there was steel in it. The doctor said it was from you, from yours. From those women. He drawled, as if it was a trifle. Valka, you understand, I'm a man in the prime of his life, and you, well, look at you. Old, fat. I had to find relief somewhere. He said this calmly, almost in a businesslike manner. I didn't leave you, I raised the children, I brought money home. He provided a roof over his head, and what happened on my side was a man's business. Valentina listened, and it was as if she was seeing him for the first time. This man, with whom she had lived for half a century, talked about her illness, about her possible death, as if he were discussing the weather. Something in Valentina's chest completely broke. For 50 years she lived with a stranger who did not love her, who used her as a free housekeeper and a cover for his adventures, who infected her with an incurable disease and now blamed her for it. The month passed in flux, like a pendulum between despair and hope. Valentina either sat by the window and cried, looking at the yellow leaves in the yard, then jumped up and began furiously scrubbing the floors, doing laundry, and cooking, as if household chores could drown out the pain in her soul. She walked around the house like a shadow. Each document for divorce was difficult to obtain: certificates from the housing office, bank statements, pieces of paper about work experience. Larissa helped deal with the legal intricacies and explained what was what. Pavel traveled to authorities that Valentina herself was afraid to visit. Conversations began at the entrance. The neighbors looked at each other when they met, whispering behind their backs. Did you hear? The Voronkovs are getting divorced. What are you talking about? They turned out to be such a friendly couple. They say he cheated on her all her life. Well, you have to, but we didn't even know. Valentina heard these conversations and understood that now everyone would feel sorry for her. Or condemn. Why get a divorce at that age? I would have been patient a little longer. How to live alone at 68 years old, for what, where to go, pension, 14,000 rubles, half of which went to medicines, and she had no skills other than housekeeping. All her life she was only a wife and mother. Anatoly behaved as before, demanding dinner exactly by 6, fresh shirts by Monday, so that socks lay neatly in the chest of drawers. It was as if nothing had happened. As if he hadn't destroyed her world with just one confession. Velka, where is my blue shirt? He shouted from the bedroom. And the coffee has already cooled down. She, as if wound up, went to iron, cook, serve. 50 years of habit turned out to be stronger than the pain. Mom, you can't do that. Larissa came on Saturday and saw her mother emaciated and with dull eyes. Move in with us. Yes, of course, daughter. Valentina shook her head. You have a 2-room apartment, 2 teenagers. Where will I fit there? We'll put a folding bed on the sofa in the living room. Mom, we will support you, but you must decide for yourself whether to remain a slave or start living. The word slave hit hard, but wasn't that the case? For half a century she cooked, washed, cleaned up after a man who considered her for convenience. That evening the phone rang. Intercity Velechka. A native Moldavian dialect was heard on the phone. I am Maria, your sister Masha. Valentina's breath caught. My cousin rarely called, only on major holidays. What's going on there? Larissa told me everything. Velechka, come home. Our parents' house is empty, the vineyard is overgrown. We will live together, as in childhood. And a white house with blue shutters in the village of Kusini came to mind. A vineyard that my grandfather planted with his own hands. The smell of jasmine in the courtyard under the window. A well with ice-cold water, which made your teeth ache even in the heat. After the death of her parents, the house was given to her by will, but she abandoned it. Life in the city seemed more important, more correct, or maybe it's true, thought Valentina. The decision ripened gradually, like grapes under the Moldavian sun. It finally took shape after a chance meeting in a store. Valentina was choosing bread when she saw a familiar figure at the dairy department. Rima Grigorievna, neighbor from apartment 12, husband's mistress. 15 years lover. Rima noticed her, blushed like a lobster, grabbed the first kefir she came across and rushed to the exit. But Valentina stopped her. Rima Grigorievna, stop. Her voice was calm, even gentle. Rima froze as if driven away. How long have you been with my husband? Valentina asked, looking straight into her eyes. Valentina Petrovna, me sorry. Rima was ready to fall through the ground. 15 years, right? And I didn't even know. Valentina spoke surprisingly calmly. What did he tell you about me? And Rima, perhaps from shame, or perhaps from relief that the secret had been revealed, began to cry. He said that you don't understand him, that you have no intimacy, that you are like his sister. That it was a marriage of convenience. Every word hit like a blow. This means that he even told his mistresses lies about her. He was cold and not affectionate, and she thought they lived in love and harmony. Thank you, Valentina said and went to the cash register. Rima stood and cried in the middle of the store. At home, Valentina immediately went into the kitchen, where Anatoly was having dinner, and said, I'm divorcing you. I'm selling my share in the apartment and leaving. He didn't believe it at first and laughed. Come on, Valka, where are you going? Then, when I realized that she was not joking, I got scared. Valka, what are you doing? Who will cook for you and do your laundry? Who will look after you in your old age? It was as if she had no other functions besides cooking and washing. Son-in-law Pavel found a good lawyer, Marina Alexandrovna, a woman of about 50, with intelligent eyes. She listened carefully to the story and said, in case of divorce, you are entitled to half of the apartment, plus, you can demand compensation for 50 years of running a household. This is called jointly acquired property. In monetary terms it will come out decently. When Anatoly realized that he was losing not only his free servants, but also his housing, he completely panicked. I started calling relatives and complaining to friends. Imagine, at 70 years old, I decided to get a divorce. I'm completely crazied. I have provided for her all her life. He even tried to turn Larissa against her. Daughter, talk to your mother. Where will she go at her age? Who needs it? Will he be left penniless? but Larissa answered briefly, "Dad, it's your own fault. He destroyed everything himself." Valentina was tormented by doubts. "I lay awake at night, thinking, what if he's right? Am I doing something stupid? Where will I go, old man?" But then I remembered his words on my birthday, "For convenience," and my doubts passed. Dalka, think about it with your head. Where are you going at your age? Who needs you? Stay, I won't do it again. He paused, then added with a dry smile, "Well, okay, if only sometimes, but you won't know. In 50 years I still haven't found out." And then Valentina realized that this man was incorrigible. He does not consider cheating a sin. He considers her a fool who can be further deceived. "No, Talik," she said firmly. "All. It's over." There was such determination in her voice that Anatoly understood that he could not be convinced. For half a century he knew the submissive, patient Valia, and now another woman stood in front of him. And she left his life forever. 2 months of paperwork flew by like one day. The divorce was filed quickly. Anatoly did not resist, realizing the futility. The sale of his share of the apartment brought Valentina 5 million rubles, plus compensation for half a century and the management of the household another 800,000. It was a fortune for a Moldovan village. The preparations took only one evening. Valentina was putting her most precious heart into 2 shabby suitcases, photos of children and grandchildren, in wooden frames, mother's Moldavian jewelry, silver earrings with red stones, imanista, made of real tar, an icon of Saint Porskiva, which was blessed by my grandmother, furniture, dishes, carpets. I left everything to my husband. Let him deal with his own affairs. Valia. Anatoly stood in the doorway of the bedroom, watching her pack her things. He no longer raised eyebrows, even his voice became quieter. "Well, I was joking then. Male nature. What can you do? I love you in my own way." Valentina did not raise her head and carefully wrapped the icon in a silk scarf. "It's too late, Talik. For 50 years you have deceived me." Enough. The whole family was seen off at the station. Larissa cried, hugging her mother goodbye. "Mom, you're doing great. Start a new life. We will come for the holidays, I promise." "Baba Valia." Nastia hung on her neck. "We will call every day and write to WhatsApp." "Granny." Dennis awkwardly hugged you. "Hang in there. And if your grandfather calls, don't listen to him." The Chisinau-Moscow train departed at 10 in the evening. Valentina settled down on the bottom bunk in the reserved seat carriage, laid her head on a clean pillow and felt peace for the first time in months. Outside the window the lights of cities, stations, and copses flashed. She gave 50 years to a stranger, she thought, looking into the darkness, and as much as I have left, I will live for myself. In Chisinau, transferred to the local bus Kazini, Sister Maria met me at the bus station, older, but with the same kind eyes. Both cried, not embarrassed by passers-by. "Lihai Mila Velechka, how thin you have become," Maria wailed as she seated her sister in Uncle Vasily's neighbor's old Lada. "It's okay, I'll fatten you up at home." We drove along a country road, between vineyards. October in Moldova, harvest time, golden leaves, heavy clusters on the vines. The air smelled of rotten leaves and ripe grapes. The white house with blue shutters was met with desolation. An overgrown yard, a vineyard that was once the pride of my grandfather, now wild. "Sorry, Velechka," Maria threw up her hands guiltily. "I only came in the summer and didn't have time to look after her." "Nothing." Valentina walked around the house, touching the familiar walls. "This is our home. We'll get it in order." An old wooden bed in the bedroom, an iron stove in the kitchen, a mirror in a carved frame. Everything was in its place, just like half a century ago, only dusty and cold, from the long emptiness. The first night, Valentina lay in her children's bed, listening to the rustling of grape leaves outside the window. Silence, peace, and no one demands dinner. clean shirts, wore coffee for breakfast. For the first time in months, I fell asleep peacefully, without sleeping pills. In the morning she was awakened by roosters, a sound she had not heard for half a century. She sat up on the bed, confused. Where was she? Then I remembered and truly smiled for the first time in months. At home. She's at home. The first weeks were not easy. Hands, accustomed to the bustle of the city, did not know where to start. Lighting the stove, a whole science. Carrying water from the well, my back ached. Maria taught patiently. Velechka, don't rush. Do you remember what Mom said? Lucas Alba and Nima Niker, but inside, in the White House, the black heart will not enter. First, cleanse your soul, and your hands will remember everything. Indeed, little by little, children's skills returned. How to bake bread in the oven, how to weed a vegetable garden, how to speak Moldovan with your neighbors. The language of childhood turned out to be stronger than urban habit. A month later, the first letter arrived from Larissa. Mom, you have no idea how much has changed. The voice became different, somehow alive, but Dad completely gave up. He walks around disheveled and buys ready-made food at the store. He asks about you every day. Valentina reread the letter twice and thought, I wonder what he's asking. How can I live without him? Is it bad? By October, the anniversary of that terrible birthday, a doctor from the district hospital arrived. Maria agreed on a re-examination. The young doctor, Dmitry Pavlovich, examined Valentina and shook his head. Marvelous, the tests are almost normal. The blood pressure has stabilized and the arrhythmia has passed, and most importantly, tumor markers decreased 3 times. Is that how rural air works? Not air, doctor. Valentina smiled, peace in the soul. In November, a wedding was held in a neighboring village. Maria persuaded her sister to go. Velechka, why are you sitting locked up? Good people, let's have fun. Valentina put on her mother's national costume. A white shirt with red thread embroidery, a dark skirt, an apron with patterns, silver earrings with red stones. An unfamiliar woman looked at her in the mirror, tanned, refreshed, with clear eyes. Old Moldavian songs were played at the wedding. Ora, a round dance that I remembered from childhood. Her fellow villagers pulled her into the circle, and she danced like she hadn't danced for 30 years. She spun around to the sounds of flutes and cymbals, and it seemed that she was again an 18-year-old girl who still did not know what awaited her. Lehigh Melia, laughed old Aunt Maria, not a sister, but a neighbor. You have become completely different. Like a flower after the rain. In winter, letters from grandchildren began to arrive. Nastia wrote, Granny, Mom showed your photos from Instagram to Aunt Maria. You look so cool. Dennis and I are saving money to come in the summer. I want to learn how to weave wreaths from grape leaves, like in the photo. Dennis was more restrained, acting like women. Grandfather completely sank. He doesn't shave and wears socks with holes. Mom says he constantly asks about you. But don't come back, you are now free, and we'll come in the summer. I'll help you in the vineyard. The letters warmed the soul more than the stove. By spring, Valentina had put almost the entire vineyard in order. She cut off the old vines, tied the young ones to stakes, and dug up the ground. His hands were roughened and covered with calluses, but these were honest calluses, from his own labor, for his own benefit. In May, when the apricots bloomed, her old childhood friend, Anna Petrovna, from a neighboring village found her. I arrived on an old motorcycle, just like in my youth. Velechka, they hugged and cried, I heard that you came back. And I kept thinking maybe I could come, but I was embarrassed. We sat on the veranda until midnight, drank homemade wine from last year's harvest. Maria made it, and remembered the girl's dreams. Do you remember? Anna laughed. At the age of 15 we swore that we would marry only princes, and you said, for the city, to take me away from here. He took me away. Valentina smiled sadly. He took me away for 50 years, and now you're back. So it had to be this way. God knows best. 6 months later, all that was left of the old Valentina was her name. Tanned and thinner, she tended the restored vineyard. My health improved surprisingly quickly, the treatment helped, the stress went away, my tests were good, I bought a bicycle, traveled to neighboring villages, helped fellow villagers with their household chores, and knitted socks and sweaters for my grandchildren. The house was transformed, renovated, whitewashed, with new furniture that was brought from Chisinau. A call from Anatoly found her in August. When she was harvesting her first harvest, the grapes were filled with juice, heavy, sweet, such as she had not seen since childhood. Dalka, the voice was plaintive, broken. How are you? How's your health? Okay, she answered briefly, cutting off another bunch of grapes with pruning shears. There were already kilograms of grapes in the basket. There would be some to take for sale and some to save for wine. Listen, maybe you'll come back. He spoke hastily, as if he was afraid that she would hang up. There is no one to cook, no one to clean. Your friend Rimka doesn't come anymore, but Svetka from the store got married. New women, at 71, are hard to find. Valka, I realized my mistake. What exactly did you understand, Talik? She asked, sitting down on a wooden bench under an old pear tree. Well, what's bad without you? That you were a good wife. The wife is for convenience, Valentina reminded, not for convenience. Me too. I loved you. In my own way. Valentina looked at the vineyard, at the white house with blue shutters, at the endless Moldovan fields where the corn was ripening. She breathed in the air, filled with the smells of ripe fruits and fragrant herbs. My dear, she said calmly, pronouncing every word clearly, it's too late to drink Borjomi when the kidneys have fallen off. She turned off the phone and went to the house. The sun was setting in the west, painting the sky in gold and scarlet tones. The vineyard rustled in the light wind, promising many more years of bountiful harvest. And at home, letters from her grandchildren and a hot dinner, prepared with her own hands for herself, were waiting for her. For the first time in 70 years of life. Thank you for watching to the end. Share your thoughts in the comments. Like and subscribe to our channel.